The U.S. Capitol, General Motors CEO is taking tough questions from lawmakers. Hearings are underway about a defective ignition switch and why it took 10 years and more than a dozen deaths before a recall was issued. CBS 2's Tony Aiello is here with more on this. Tony.
Maurice, during her testimony, CEO Mary Barra announced the company has hired a consultant to review how it's responding to the families of those injured and killed. The consultant is familiar to New Yorkers, Kenneth Feinberg, who ran the 9/11 compensation fund. The dead and injured on the wall of the committee room behind her, GM's CEO offered a promise.
Today's GM will do the right thing. That begins with my sincere apologies to everyone who has been affected by this recall.
Mary Barra declined to answer many of the pointed questions about the faulty ignition switches put into millions of cars.
GM knew about this problem in 2001. They were warned again and again over the next decade.
I do not know the answer to that, and that's why we're doing this investigation.
The defect caused ignition switches to suddenly shut the engine off, disabling power steering, power brakes, seat belts, and airbags. Before the hearing, family and friends of some of those killed and injured gathered outside the Capitol. A driver from Toms River, New Jersey, talked about her Chevy Cobalt suddenly shutting down.
Driving this car was like playing a game of Russian roulette with my safety and that of my friends. I can't even begin to explain the fear and confusion that runs through you that moment when you have no control over your car.
During the hearing, Barra was asked about internal documents showing GM rejected as too costly a proposal to fix the ignition switches.
And that the, quote, none of the solutions represent an acceptable business case, end quote.
I find that statement to be very disturbing as we do this investigation and understand it in the context of the whole timeline. If that was the reason the decision was made, that is unacceptable. That is not the way we do business in today's GM.
GM is not alone in feeling the congressional heat. Congress also has pointed questions for a federal safety agency that may have missed red flags and failed to order a recall. That agency blames GM for reporting incomplete information. Christine.